welcome back to All Hitches, Nova's #1 football podcast. Coach Mason, what's up, buddy?
Nothing, man. How you been?
I'm great. I'm great, buddy. We are enjoying spring break. You don't get any better than this, does it?
I mean, it does. Actually,
It's summer break.
It's the worst of the three. It's the worst of the three breaks, I think.
The worst.
I don't think.
But now when it's 70 degrees outside, my friend. Are you going anywhere? Maybe you should get out then. Maybe are you going to go anywhere for spring break?
I'm not going anywhere. I am having people come in. My dad's coming in from Seattle, and actually my sister's coming from California.
Well, you can't beat that. Spring break with family. That's fantastic. Are they going to stay all the way through Easter?
Sunday, April 19th, I turned the big 5-0.
Well. Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have guessed on a day over 38.
I guess that's good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Are you kidding me?
So yeah.
Happy birthday. Happy early birthday to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and you got so next best thing, you're not going anywhere. You got people coming, and they're staying all the way through Easter, obviously.
They are not. They're
not staying through Easter.
My dad is. My sister's only staying for a few days, but
okay, all right. And what's your Easter go-to? I think I asked you this for holidays.
We don't have. I don't think we have an Easter go-to, honestly.
Well, then what's it going to be?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
You haven't decided yet?
No, because we don't have a like. I think you.
Our game plan.
Easter's like
You're a coach. I expect X's and O's. The game plan. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna drive up 95 this way. We're gonna turn into the parking lot over here. We're gonna run to the meats department. We're gonna get the prime rib. We're gonna come back to the car and head back home. That's what I expect from the coach.
I think Easter's more of a breakfast, isn't it? Easter's more of a breakfast.
Well, we do a brunch and then we do a dinner.
Wow, a lamb.
Whatever I think my dad's doing prime rib this year.
Oh, that's right. Your dad's a big prime rib guy.
Yeah. We're gonna do. We do kind of the like a Northeast thing, like bagels, lox, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But I'll be going out of town tomorrow. I am going to New York City, the Big Apple.
Oh, okay.
The Big Apple. I'm going to go to my daughter's birthday. I'm going to take her up there for her birthday, a little shopping, and go see a Broadway show.
Which Broadway show are you going to go see?
We are going to see Glenn Ross, which I can't wait.
Glengarry Ross is the one with the Alec Baldwin, right?
ABC,
right?
Always be closing. Yes, sir. I'm excited. I mean, the theater, the version was, you had Pacino, Alec Baldwin, Jack Lemmon. I mean, it was outstanding. This one, pretty good cast. You got Bill Burr. You got who's the guy from Better Call Saul? Bob Odenkirk. He's in it. You got Kieran Culkin.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So my daughter was, she was like, oh, yeah, she likes musicals. She's watched like Wicked and that kind of thing. And she's like, oh, I don't know, it's going to be boring. I'm like, it's not going to be boring. So I brought up on YouTube the scene.
Why don't you take her to Harry Potter? She's a kid.
This is what I want to see, buddy. And I can say that because she doesn't listen to this show.
Oh, all right.
It's about what I wanted to see. I've been dying to see that. When they announced it was coming out like 2 years ago, I told my wife, I was like, I want to see that when it comes out. I love that movie. I love David Mamet.
Yeah, because how old are you turning?
13, 14.
Nothing. No, she is. Nothing a 14-year-old wants to see more than about a drama about selling land.
They're insurance. Aren't they insurance?
No, they're selling land. As a matter of fact, hold on. So I actually have a connection. So they're selling land in Rio Rancho, New Mexico.
Are they really in Rio Rancho?
So do you want to know about Rio Rancho? I can tell you the backstory. So there is a very large population of New Yorkers in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, because in the 70s, people were selling those. So like they do the same thing in California. They call land banking. So Rio Rancho, New Mexico, there was nothing there. It was like cattle and nothing. So they're like, hey, Albuquerque is this expanding city. Buy now. The land will be worth 1 million times what you paid for it in the 70s. So a lot of people in New York and New Jersey, which is where this is set at. And this is a real thing. They did that. Turns out the land is not worth very much, but Rio Rancho became a decent town because Intel moved to a main headquarters there, so like that, and so it became somewhat. And so these New Yorkers were like, "Well, I have all this money to retire. I'll just go to New Mexico," which is it gets. I mean, it's not New York. They move out there, build a house, and they live there. So there is a New York, I think, New York. Rio Rancho at one point had the most pizza parlors per capita in the world because of the amount of New Yorkers who moved to Rio Rancho.
Well, yeah, all the bigwigs were out there, or at least some of the bigwigs trying to sell and make money and that kind of thing.
No, so
They
they were
definitely had some.
no, like they were selling to like your like blue collar union New Yorker saying, this is a way to make an investment and like flip it.
Right, I'm talking about the guy who was selling it. Those are the
Oh,
bigwigs.
yeah. But when the New Yorkers moved out there, they're like, "Where's our pizza?"
Right.
And so all these pizza places just exploded over there. So yeah.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of bigwigs, we got count them, two bigwigs today, my friend. We got the creme de la creme of youth football in Northern Virginia representing today. We got Vienna Youth Football Commissioner, Coach Casey, and we got Coach Mullins, the former Centreville Youth Football Commissioner. How's that?
I mean, sounds exciting. You have nothing but sang those praises of those youth organizations since I've been here.
I'll tell you what, man. I mean, that is, like I told you, those are heavyweights. That's Ali and Foreman right there.
All right.
Of this area.
I'll take your word for it.
Now, if there had to be a third though, kind of encroaching, they've probably already encroached. Gainesville Youth, growing organization.
I have heard that, yes, that they are currently the up and comer.
But in Greater Fairfax, and East,
yeah,
it doesn't get any bigger than Centreville and Vienna. So it's going to be a good one. Talking about the everything from the growth of youth football, tackle football, and to sustaining that greatness, right, with all those parents helping out and all that kind of thing. So without further ado, let's get into it. Todd Casey and Jason Mullins. All right, well, welcome back, and joining us now, we've been waiting for this one. We got Coach Todd Casey, Coach Jason Mullins from respectively Vienna Youth Club and former commissioner at Centreville Youth Club, Coach Mullins. Guys, welcome aboard. It's great to have you guys. We've been wanting to do this for a while. I'm glad we could finally connect.
No, glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the first time we've done, two coaches interviews at once. But we figured we wanted to do the youth, get you guys kind of like the big summit here. We got the superpowers. I've been telling Coach Mace this for a while, our West Coast, host here, that, going back, I'm a lifer here in Northern Virginia, and going back to as far back as I can remember, it was always Vienna. And so I'm a Braddock Road guy growing up, and and my kids playing. So, and we were always taking beatings for the most part. We had some ups and downs, but for the most part, Vienna and Centreville, you guys were the creme de la creme.
Yeah, it's been a great program. Todd does a great job over there, and still a good program.
Yeah, we have some great groups all through our county, so good competition.
So let me ask you guys both a question, and each one of you can hear how you answer. It's always been our experience. So I started. So I was playing JUCO ball. I ended up wrecking my shoulder, and then that was it. That was it for me. I was always kind of undersized to begin with, and it was kind of like, I'm an undersized linebacker trying to play. So I went off to play. I went off to coach we had Pop Warner at the time out there. And so I've seen that, and then coaching high school for as long as I have, I've seen some youth programs, and unfortunately, there's just some really uneducated coaching. I'll just leave it at that. What are some things you guys do to try to make sure that, because I told my wife, my daughter started playing sports, and she played basketball and she played softball, and I was like, I have two rules for youth sports: she's safe, she has a good time. Period. I mean, that is all. Wins, losses, I don't care. If she enjoys playing the sport, and the coach is being safe, that'll lead to her enjoying sports, because obviously it builds from there. So what are some things you guys do with your coaches to make sure that that they're properly trained and everything, and are equipped to handle kids who've never played football before?
Sure. Todd, you want to go ahead?
Sure. There are two different pieces with it. From the league level, okay, the league really had a intimate relationship with USA Football when it was first founded. It was located here in Tyson's Corner. So the original Heads Up Football videos were made with Fairfax County kids. So, Heads Up Football was something that we emphasized early, we embraced it, and we ran with it. Now, in Vienna, what we also did is we doubled down on coaches education. We have, starting January 1, we have a couple clinics each week, each month, okay, with high school coaches or youth coaches, guys like Coach Brian Slay, guys from the Madison High School staff. We just had Pat Ward from St. John in, and we just like having guys, we call it like Joe Rockhead's fire department. We just have guys coming in talking football. And by doubling down on coaches education and embracing, a lot of these different things, I mean, I've coached football for 30 years now. We coach it better today than we ever had.
Yeah, Coach Mullins.
Yeah, so kind of what Todd said, we had USA football, and it came in, and there was, I think Roger Goodell, he came up to Centreville High School. It was in the paper and stuff like that when Haddock was there. So we implemented the USA football and did all the training and stuff like that. We make sure, everybody's up and good with their certifications and learning. And then we had an interview kind of panel put in place for a little bit to where we actually had a panel with some experienced coaches within SY that's been there for a long time. And then we also pulled in some of the coaches from Centreville and Westfield. We had Coach Shields on the panel. We had Coach Epperson on the panel. Some people like that, to where we would kind of filter through some of these interviews of coaches that were coming in for certain weight classes and kind of put our heads together, and go through that aspect and see, which we felt coach was in the right place at that time for the weight class. So, we get the invites from Todd for the Vienna stuff. We do some training too. We hold coaches meetings leading into the season, kind of starting in June as our flag season is kind of trickling out, and we have speakers come in. We'll have we get one of the trailers over in Centreville High School in the parking lot. Like we've had Bendorf come in and speak to us. We've had Epperson come in and do a slideshow about how to run a trap or whatever you're doing, stuff like that, where coaches want to learn different things. So we implement the high school coaches a lot in our stuff to help us out to make sure we're putting the right coaches in place.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that leads me to ask you guys. So, in your two I don't think it's a coincidence. You guys are so, connected and intertwined with, over at Vienna, Madison, obviously, and Oakton, and then you guys, Mullins at Centerville with Centerville High School and Westfield High School and a little bit of Chantilly.
Yep.
Over the years, is that something that was always like that? Like when you guys arrived on the scene, was it already like that? Were you guys part of the guys that kind of put that together and invited them in to kind of, be part of the youth club?
As far as SY, Tom Healy was in place for a very long time in front of me. He was our commissioner and did a great job. I mean, it's when we had 600, 700, 800 kids playing for us and stuff like that. He got Haddock involved a little bit when Haddock was at Centerville. I don't think not so much as Simmons at the time. I never really saw Simmons coming over. So I don't. And Healy's a Centerville guy. He lives right across the street over there. So he was big on the Centerville coaches coming in and helping out. And then once he kind of stepped away, we had a 1 year of a new commissioner came in, and then I took it after that for a while. And that's where I kind of really dug in and started really pulling these coaches. I wanted to, we are a feeder program for both schools. I mean, there is a little bit of Chantilly, mainly Centerville Westfield. So I was, I wanted to get both schools in at the same time. We already kind of had our foot in the door with Centerville due to Tom Healy already kind of having his foot in the door with them. And I really wanted to get Westfield involved. So I really kind of was reaching out. I'd see Bendorf, around, and I asked him to come over, or, anybody we can get to come over and speak from Westfield side. So I kind of really put that in place. And now Felix is doing the exact same thing. Felix is doing an amazing job of getting these things. We run our camps during flag and stuff like that. We have guest speakers, and are usually all the high school coaches. They're the freshman rising coach that we have at Westfield. They're the freshman Centerville coach. Shields will come over and speak, Bendo. I mean, whoever we can get to come and put in front of these kids and parents, we try and get both schools out there.
Now, with us, I would say something specifically changed like 15 years ago when Lenny Schultz came in. Okay. Lenny was a Vienna guy growing up. He brought in a bunch of great coaches, and a lot of them were former Vienna coaches. So we had that relationship built in, and, Madison, since then has been an open room for us. Any of our coaches can call their coaches or approach their coaches anytime, and they give their time all the time. Again, Brian Slay has been awesome. The first thing he did after he got the job is he called us, and he started coming to our meetings. He spoke with us this year. Trey Taylor over at Fairfax, really embraces youth football all the time. Centreville's coach came and spoke at a Vienna meeting. In the end, if we can create a conversation about football in Northern Virginia, it helps everybody else out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, as far as the, is there a formal, like now that, well, I guess Centreville, they've had coach in place for a while. Madison, for the most part, same regime's been in place for a while. So is it the kind of thing where like the freshman coach comes out, like, maybe around, I'm just making up February, March, you get an email from them and okay, it's that time of year again. The freshman coach is coming out. He's going to meet with us. And then even during the season, do they come out and try and meet some of the kids like in August or maybe at the end of the year?
Yep, absolutely. They come out during flag. We actually have one of our freshman coach at Centreville. He's our referee flag coordinator, so he's out on the field. So and then they do a lot of stuff for skills camp, leading out of a flag to tackle to non-contact. We get a lot of people out there, and then during our tackle season at SYA, the freshman coaches will come over to our practices and they'll say, "Hey, who's your rising 8th grade / who's your 115, 130, 155 weight class? Those kids are probably going to be coming. So who are they?" And we'll get an email over to the coach from SOI just saying, hey, coach, Epicenter coach, whoever it is coming over wants to speak and wants to talk to you guys, and they'll kind of sit them in a group, maybe after practice or, little water break, and they'll talk to them, come over, engage them. And then also, they go to the schools, when they go to the middle schools, they'll pick a day. Coach Sackles over at Westfield and Coach Cannon over at Centreville, they go over to the middle schools that are feeders where these kids are at, and they set up a table and they do like a sign-up sheet, and that's how they get the emails and the parents and the phone numbers of all these kids. So that's already been done. That's already been in place, but that's how they kind of get involved with us and stuff like that.
Our piece is a little different because our field's separate from the high school. So, but on a Saturday night or Saturday evening at Waters Field, we'll see high school coaches from all these different programs be out there because it's just a big community and they're part of the community.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I asked that because, you guys know, I just feel like, being around, seeing a lot of programs, not everyone has it like that. I know some do. But even then it's kind of lukewarm, right? It's like, they'll maybe reach out once, they'll try and come out that one time. So I just feel like you guys have a special thing there.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I think Todd and I actually heard one time in our commissioners meeting that when I was still at some of the commissioners, some of the leagues, they said they don't even have ties to the high schools, really the coaches. A couple of them brought it up like that, saying we just don't have that contact.
Man, and it reflects, right? We're talking Westfield, right? We're talking Centreville, we're talking Oakton, we're talking Madison. Those are powers in this area, and that's not a coincidence.
Right.
So you guys, being a former commissioner and a commissioner, I think a lot of times people don't know what kind of goes into, just game day, right? On game day, the stuff you guys got doing. So, what does it look like for you guys? I'm sure what time you guys usually at the field and what time you guys leave. I know it's an all day event, those things. So what are some things you guys got to go through on those Saturdays, that you guys are going to make sure to make sure that the games go off without a hitch?
Yeah.
Rule 1, you guys got to have a good assistant commissioner.
We're blessed in Vienna with a lot of volunteers. Okay. And most of the work that happens is done Monday through Friday. Okay. So that Saturday goes off without a hitch. I think the biggest thing that we do is we try to communicate with our parents. We try to communicate with the opposition. We communicate with referees. Okay. Just to make everything run as smoothly as possible. It's a little, if you come to our field, it's a little different because we don't play at a high school. We don't have that track and the fence separating where we are. We have like a 1/4-inch nylon rope. All right. So we have to be on top of things like that early, but it's also, your fans aren't sitting away from the field. So everybody's right on top of each other. It's different. It's a little more intimate setting, but it gets loud and it gets exciting. And, as long as you communicate with people, everybody's generally just fine.
Yeah.
Mason doesn't know. You're talking about, that's the Lambeau Field of Northern Virginia for youth football, buddy. Waters Field, man, it's no joke.
Yep. Yeah. What Todd said, the same thing. It's a Monday through Friday effort. It's parents, team moms, assistant commissioner, like I said, even some of the coaches. And we have 2 fields. We play at home at Centreville. That's where our permits have been at for forever. And we do have a stadium field, but we also have a practice field. We'll run 2 games. And like Todd said, we have to run a nylon rope, and they're right up on you. So, checking all the equipment ahead of time, making sure everything's ready to go. Centerville plays Friday nights, and, sometimes there's some stuff left around that we'll get up there early enough. Like I said, Felix does a phenomenal job. I mean, it's run very smooth the way he does. I sit out there all day from sunrise until sunset and have the craziest sunburn at the end of the day. But, Felix works hard, and his wife's, they do a great job. And they stick around. They're really engaged. And, we try and put food trucks up there, breakfast trucks up there, and do that and try and keep everybody fed, because we don't really have a concession. I know Watersfield, Todd, them have, the snack shack, the famous chili dogs and all that stuff, but we don't get to do that because, it's a high school, so we don't get to use the concession there. So we try and coordinate ahead of time and do food trucks that come up there and do Kona Ice and breakfast trucks and stuff like that. And we used to work like a little bit of a deal. We get a certain percent out of, a certain little bit, a little fundraise, but it helps out when the people are there all day, because some of these kids and parents are there for hours because they have multiple siblings playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So obviously I like food. I mean, look at me, I like food. Which 2 fields have something that you're like, when I go to that field, that's the thing I'm going to order? Is there any
Vienna, the hot dogs. I beeline it straight there and get 2.
You guys get this Vienna Inn doing that? You guys have your own?
Yeah,
we get Vienna and their hot dogs.
We get the chili from the Vienna Inn.
Ah, there it is.
I walk straight there. I'm like, you guys go warm up, and I'll be right back. And I go straight there.
Yeah, because
should have known it was Vienna and chili.
In California, I don't know if you guys been to California, San Pedro, their youth organization, they have this it's not a salmon burger. I can't think what it is. I think it might be ahi that they serve out there. Yeah, they get straight from Ports of Call. They bring up the fish and they cook it all up there, and it's really good. It's really good. But yeah, so I'm always curious because there's always a youth organization in a high school. You're like, when I go to that place, we need to run over the snack bar because they got something legit over there.
Yeah, wow. And everything we're trying to do is to make that game day experience as acceptable as possible. So, try to get music playing between quarters and stuff. It's again, with all the cheerleaders and everything else, and in Vienna, our field is part of a baseball complex. Right. So on the infield, you have everybody from 4-year-olds to 16-year-olds playing pickup football on the infield. So it's just a massive humanity.
That's awesome.
Well, so, and a lot of that, I mean, you said it earlier, Todd, it's the parents and the families helping out. And I know for those 2 programs, and again, I mean, I've seen it on both levels. I've seen it there. I remember we would travel for a game either at Centreville, we go to the Glory Days Bowl. Yep. Is it still called that?
The Glory Days stopped sponsoring a while ago, and then we renamed it to the Gridiron Classic. And my assistant commissioner back when I was doing it was Rob Esterbrook, and he owned Suburban Auto Body, and he brought up all his hot rods on a trailer and worked all night and all morning unloading flatbeds of all his hot rods and everything and put them up around the track. So it's called the Gridiron Classic.
That's kind of awesome, though.
Yeah, it was cool. The kids, like take pictures and all that stuff with us. So we changed
like a car show.
Yeah, it was a car show, but it was great, because it's part of his, part of his deal, whatever. And he was my assistant commissioner, did a great job. And we ended up buying one of these massive, enormous blow up helmets. I mean, I'm talking about huge. And we had the smoke coming out, and the kids would run out in the field, and we had music, and it was a great thing we do on that day.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because the parents and seeing it at both your organizations, and then also again, not a coincidence. I mean, many times, Mason, we'd be before a game, kind of on the field, a couple hours before a high school game, and we start seeing people setting up cameras, about 1,000 cameras, and they're wearing the gear, and I'm like, the coaches are here already, right? We go over there. It could be Oakton we're playing, it could be Westfield, whoever it was, and I go over there. They're like, no, we're just parents. We're parents, or we're part of the boosters. And I'm like, damn, it's just an army helping out, even at the high school. So that carries over.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. It carries over.
Yeah, it was. I gave it hats off to the senior players, varsity players, because they would come out sometime on opening game day weekend, and Shields and Simmons would send the kids that played Friday night, banged up late night, and be in their jerseys, and they would form a tunnel, and they would get these ankle biters and 80-pound kids running through the tunnels on the opening game day, and they thought it was just the best thing, the greatest thing ever. And those kids were tired. I know they were tired, and the coach was tired, but they made it work for us. They did a good job at it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It also helps you guys have the same colors too. Yeah, both of you guys have the same colors as the main. I guess the main. A couple of schools might go into it, but the red and black, and then the light blue and the black. It's sort of the high school colors. So, and we were talking about this before we started filming. The numbers now. So everyone kind of hears things right about youth football, and I know. And again, I think it's regional. Depends on where you are. Not only in the United States, I think even regionally, even within Nova, right? Like we were saying earlier. Now, and I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't have numbers, you don't know them offhand, but that you guys remember, what are some of the peak years? What are some of the down years, and where are we now?
So, back in the 70s, we had over 700 kids. There were only so many organizations who were playing then. When I got involved, so let's say in the early 2000s, we peaked off about 580 kids. And the low point was, probably 2019 to 2021. Okay, well, we got down to about 220 kids.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is, we really set one thing is over COVID, we started having Zoom coaches meetings. And one thing that we did is when they shut down the football season, we started a flag league that they allowed us to do. And I had 700 kids playing flag football in Vienna from the age of 5 to 15. But really, in the end, we had a whole conversation as coaches, and we said, look, we're going to focus on why is football important, okay? And we have a generation of iPad kids who play more Madden than they play outside. So instead, we focused on character traits, we focused on community, we focused on coaches' education, and we went from 220 kids in 2021 to last year, we had 355 kids play Vienna football.
That's awesome.
So, and I have 100 volunteers who help me, and of those 100 volunteers, half of them don't have a child in the program. So it's historical. My dad coached football in Vienna from 1979 to 2015. You have guys like the Halls and the Cooks and the Sampsons, whose parents helped found VYI, who then the children and now the grandchildren are still part of the program. So it's so community based, and we have such a good community of coaches and moms and dads and volunteers and such that, look, the bulk of these kids are going to go to college. Football is not a way out for them, but it's a way through. And it teaches them so much. It teaches them sacrifice. It teaches them, team, and it's the first sport they ever play that we did something and not I did something. And that's really important.
Yeah. Todd's right. We were, I think 15, 16 years when I came in, we were roughly close to probably 700 kids, 800 kids, give or take, when Healy was being our commissioner at the time. And again, that was a boom for us. And right around COVID time, we had to struggle. We got shut down, and it was a tough year. And we came out of that probably lowest we've probably seen in a while. We were just barely under 200 coming out of a COVID year. And then I think, again, Felix is handling things right now, but I know we're over 200 now. For the last couple of years, so we're over 200. There are clubs that aren't around anymore, like you had mentioned. Like I played at James Lee in Falls Church growing up. I played at James Lee Rec, and there's James Lee's not around anymore. There's a couple, when these clubs shut down, these kids go other places and look for the nearest town or the nearest club that's touched them or whatever it is. So it goes up and down, and like you said, a demographic of the area definitely has a huge impact. I mean, if you go out and Gainesville, where there's still land to be developed and it's cheaper to live, and there's nowhere to live and build new stuff in Centreville and Westville. They squeeze them in, but it's $1 million townhouse being put up. You know what I mean? So it's not new blood really coming in for us as much as it was 20 years ago when Little Rocky Run was built across the street, and those parents are still living in that house. The kids have now graduated, started families, and they don't really live around here. I mean, it's too expensive, and they're going to have their house built somewhere else. So, demographic definitely plays, but we're over 200. We're over 200 now, coming out of COVID. So it's been good for us.
That's awesome. I think the other thing that hurts football, and me and Dash talk to us all the time, is the fact that travel baseball, travel basketball, and travel soccer have become year-round sports. They become year-round sports, and parents are convinced that if my kid doesn't play year-round, they won't be up to snuff and unfortunately, and I mean, we can get to the what I do think is a big root of this is that college has gotten so expensive. Parents are like, my only way my kid can go and get into a good college is through scholarship. That's a conversation for another time. But I just think as far as youth football goes, football is a essentially a season long sport, right? It's end of summer to end of fall, right? So I mean, that's all you get in football. And I think that a lot of kids think that, once they get a little older and they start to play especially travel basketball, travel baseball, travel soccer, they become convinced that because it's year round that I've got to keep on playing this year round or else I can't see it. So I think that that's a problem you're starting to see. You're seeing more multi-sport football players than you're seeing multi-sport of any other sport. I'd be willing to say. I don't know if you have seen that as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and talking about when we do our skills camp and stuff like that, a lot of these colleges kids, they're home for break for that short stint, and if they've played, that's why we invite them to come out, just like we do the coaches. When we have Noah Kim come out and speak, as Noah played through SOA, we'll have Taylor Moore. I mean, whoever's in town, Eugene will come by, JT, Aquame. I mean, all those guys will come through, and we'll have them out and they'll talk to these kids at the end of the camps and at the end of the days and talking about, this is what it takes, this is what it needs, this is what you need to do. You don't have to do this, you don't do that. We're in a position now in college because, this is what you got. So hearing those kids listen to these kids and look up to them now and seeing where they're at in college, playing at Wake, playing at, Auburn, playing wherever they're at, it really helps when those kids in the program listen to those other kids that have played in our program and they talk about, what it takes. And you don't have to go play Pop Warner, you don't have to go play travel to be, in this level of college. You can play, American, you play national football. You don't have to be at a certain level, you're going to make it.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing with our, one of our biggest advocates is Mark Jorman over at Madison High School. He encourages kids to play as many sports as they possibly can. He loves football kids, and he encouraged that. He's a big voice for us. The other thing is, and what I think is different about our league compared to some of the other leagues locally and even nationally is one thing that Jason brought up there is that, let's say we have 60 kids at a weight level, at a level for us. Okay. We offer 3 different levels of competition. So we have an elite division, an American division. Okay. We have a central division and we have a national division so that, the pit bulls aren't hitting the poodles. Okay. Right. And the truth is that the kids often who end up having the most success in college and stuff are the kids who started at the lowest level. Okay. And developed and stayed and got a love for the game. Okay. And by the time that they're in high school, now they're 6'4", 250. Okay. And then they're having conversations with them. So that's where, when you teach a level of football and one thing that we've started having success with, especially since COVID, because so much travel baseball was played, is we're starting to translate, some of these baseball kids more at 10 years old than after Little League. So, I always say, why wear pajamas in the fall? Let's come out and play football.
Yeah. And one thing I heard someone say, they said the reason kids should play as many sports as they can during their youth is because until you hit puberty, you have no idea. You have no idea what you're going to be good at, how big you're going to be, how fast you are going to be until you start hitting puberty. You have zero idea of what kind of athlete you actually are going to become. And the more exposure you have to a sport, and again, specialized sports is I think is something that's really hurting youth football.
It's expensive, and there's so many repetitive use injuries with these young kids. All these different sports, so put a baseball down, come play football, put a basketball down, go play baseball or lacrosse, or, get as much exposure.
Yeah. The wrestling commissioner, that's why he always dips into our database, at the end of the season and say, hey man, y'all are done. Like send your football players to wrestle, let them come try out, so the wrestler commissioner, but that's why he's always pinging and trying to dip in and try and get the kids to come over and try it and everything.
Yeah, if you want to learn how to tackle, go wrestle.
Right.
That's all they do. They do it every day. They just tackle. That's what they do. Essentially, do right. They shoot double leg, single leg shoot, and they're taking kids around.
Yeah.
Now, I know. So I think my last year at Braddock Road was. It was when Parkway was kind of starting up. the flag league?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
It was kind of the Braddock Road one,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
It was spring, and it was going to stay spring. And then I remember all the controversy and all that. Now, I mean, who would have seen it, right? I'm coming. I mean, flag now has become a big thing. Do your organizations offer flag in the fall? I know that was at first nobody wanted to. I remember that nobody wanted to offer it in the fall.
So we started in 2015 offering flag, and one of the reasons we did that is so that we can control that conversation.
Yeah,
And between VY, VYS, and things like that, we control. We have permits for a lot of these different fields. Okay, we offer the one thing that we changed 3 years ago is we started offering 5 and 6 year old flag in the fall, and we start our day at Waters at 9 a.m. with 5 and 6 year old flag. We'll have 2 games going. I mean, you have a farmer's market right next door, but then they see that next level of team, whether it's the ankle biters or it's the, a national team that's coming on. And then the parents then stay and watch and they see the product that we have coming in. So it gets them used to playing football in the fall, but we tell these kids it's a secondary sport. Go play baseball, go play soccer, go play other things. Okay. And we'll still be there for you.
Yeah, we don't. I see. I mean, Felix runs the flag program too over there because the commissioner does both, but they don't have a fall flag. So they host it in the spring only. So that's the only time we do flag. Now, I know this year Felix has started the 7x7, outside of our in-house flag thing. So he's got a program. He's doing well with. He's got a team going in the 7x7. Stuff right now, so that's a new thing he started up and got going. We still,
middle school age 7-on-7.
No, this is it's a certain age group. I mean, yeah, middle school, yeah. So my son, my younger son's age is type thing. So yeah, 8th grade, 7th grade.
Is that the piece over at Gainesville?
Yeah,
yeah. So Gainesville started up a 7-on-7 group.
Yes.
Where Centreville's doing it, Vienna's doing it. I think Dulles is doing it as well as a bunch of and other groups send it. Again, they have that Grizzly Sports Complex over there that they got to use. So Jeff Fairman over there does a spectacular job with that.
Yep.
Fast-paced game, and he's very encouraging of everybody to come out and join.
Yeah, I tried to get the 7x7 going when I was in place, but I was just overwhelmed with everything, and I couldn't find anybody kind of to assist and get it off the ground. So it kind of went wayside a little bit. But Felix has got that started up now, so we now have that part of our thing. We still do our house flag stuff on Sundays too. On top of that,
yeah, I mean it's smart. I mean for 7-on-7, middle school, especially we don't have maybe in Prince William, they kind of have the middle school team or whatever, but Fairfax we don't have that, and I think at least some of those kids who've never done it before, when they show up in 9th or 10th grade, they've seen it, they kind of understand it. I think it makes sense. And the flag thing, I think that was smart, Todd, as far as not. And you guys controlling the conversation. And I think, Jason, you said it too, that he's running both.
Yep.
I think it's better that way. That way the real football guys can kind of control it and kind of give advice and guidance on.
Yeah. I mean, that's bad. I mean, 15, 18 years ago when we were doing flag, every single coach that was a flag was a tackle coach. Every single coach was a tackle coach. Now that's gone away. Now they're just, there are still some tackle coaches that are running flag. He tries to keep their kids kind of together and get them out there. But there are a lot of dads out there, and just dads are out there coaching, which is great too. So, but we had, for years we had just nonstop. Just our tackle coaches were our flag coaches.
So, kind of follow up with the flag, something that actually a little close to my heart right here. It's exploding around the country. A lot of high schools now have girls flag football. They're having state championships. Do you guys have the girls flag football leagues, or are you looking to start those?
So we're a co-ed type thing. So we don't have a specific girl team.
Okay.
They play co-ed and they go out there and rock. They go out there and play. It's they just play with the boys and they go out there and they just do it.
Yep,
that's awesome.
Yeah, the rumor is that's coming to Northern Virginia. That's the big rumor, and we'll see. They're talking about the girls' high school. Yeah. It's going to be in the Olympics in 28, right? Is it 28 the next Olympics?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So all the high schools are kind of all the regions are kind of scrambling to kind of get it going in the next year or two. We'll see how that shakes out. It's great. I think it's great for a lot of the girls to kind of jump in there Because in the fall you have field hockey and you have volleyball, right? I mean, so volleyball is not a field sport, obviously. So it's either field hockey or what, right? If you don't want, a girl doesn't want to play tackle football, let's just say a lot of girls don't, right? Obviously, and they're like, well, what can we do? I don't want to play field hockey either, maybe. And then here comes flag football. So I could see that grow. I could see girls flag growing pretty big over the next decade.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. All right, let me ask you guys this about coaching. So over the years, have a lot of the coaches kind of graduated to, I know Madison definitely has had that. A lot of their staff now are former Madison guys, or former Vienna youth guys. And then Centreville too, obviously. Is that something you guys have seen? It's been going on forever. They just kind of move on.
Yeah, yes and no. So shoot. Justin coached with me for years.
Yeah.
Ray Gordon, coached Vienna and then Chantilly for years. And truthfully, he's the person who always says, it's not youth coach, it's a coach. Because we're talking about the best defensive mind in the state, right? But what we've been lucky with is we've had continuity at our highest level. Guys like Casey Sampson's coached in Vienna for 25 years. Actually 40 years. He coached me back in the day. I've been around for 25 years. Guys like Randy McCargo, Matt Click, Ted Hongsworth, Jim McGrath are all guys who are coaching our highest level teams and been part of the program, since about the year 2000. So that's, that continuity really allows us to build and really allows us to set a framework so that we can fill all the other teams in with the new young coaches that come in and develop them. What excites me more so than anything else is we have a lot of the younger coaches, say like at Madison High School, who played Vienna football in the early 2000s. They have 4-year-old kids, so they're coming. All right. So at some point, I don't have to do this anymore because somebody else will take my spot.
Right.
Yeah, we definitely had more go towards Centerville. We didn't really have too many Westfield coaches that were coming or that were there really coaching our tackle stuff. A lot of our going to the high school to Westfield from our tackle. We had a lot leave. They go to Centerville. Coach Cannon is a freshman coach. He coached, at SY for a long time. Like I said, Vergara, he was the freshman coach before him, and his son is now playing ankle biter. So now he's back in with SY, but he's still stuff like that. Epperson, Epperson's one of the greatest SY coaches we had for a very long time, inducted to the Northern Virginia Hall of Fame not too long ago. It hurt me painfully when he completely stopped, and went over to Centerville, and he tried to balance it 1 year, his first year in, and try and do a team at SY and coach at Centerville. And it was tough. He's like, I can't do that again. But yeah, most of our coaches that have left are Centerville side. I don't think we have any coaches that's really left that's went over to Westfield that I recall. Again, and we have some young dads that's came in 2 or 3 years ago at ankle biters, and they're still with us and they're still coaching as their kid goes through.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a hard job to do, to coach at both. Only guy that I knew that did that, you remember Brandon Smith, who watches the show sometimes. Brandon Smith over at Lake Braddock. He was at Braddock Road, and I remember back and forth. And actually at the time, Brandon was coaching at Woodson. And the funny part about that is, and if Brandon's watching this, is that the Frost Field was where Braddock Road would practice in the beginning of August, and then so he would go at till whenever at 6:30 or 7, and then right then he'd run across the Frost parking lot and over to the Woodson Field to do the other practice.
That's what Everson was doing. He'd finish the practices and just walk over. But I still don't let him get too far from me. I've had him come out some situations at practice where I'm scratching my head or we're struggling with something, and he's my go-to guy, man. He will do anything. He'll come over, and I could tell he still loves it. But he'll stay out there. He'll stay out there for 2 hours if I ask him to come out on our team to figure something out. How do we fix this problem, or what do you see? He'll do it in a dime. So it was tough for him. But he's doing great over at Centerville. But we definitely miss him at SY. But he still will come over in a drop of a dime to come over and help.
Awesome. And some guys don't want to leave, and people don't understand that sometimes. I've had, because I still know some of the Braddock Road guys, and And I've had guys from Woodson, ask me, hey, can we call some of those Braddock Road guys? And I've called a couple guys up, shout out to Chris Moore, my guy over at Braddock Road. I'm like, Chris, come on over, buddy. Help us out with freshmen. We got something for you here. And he's like, I'm a lifer. I mean, he's been there since I 10 years, 12 years, and he's not going anywhere. He's happy. He's happy to be there. So, people don't understand it, but sometimes people they want to work with the young kids and kind of teach it at the grassroots level.
Yeah, I mean, I was privileged enough, for the Boomer DeConti days, he sat at ankle biters for 20-something years, and he went through the system once, and he was like, I'll never do that again. He's like, keep me in ankle biters, and I coached with him. I had 2 county championships with him, with my boy. I keep in touch with him regularly. He's living the retired life down at the beach and everything, so he's doing good. But he was one of those guys. I mean, to be an ankle biter coach, it's tough. You know what I mean? It's tough, but he made it work, and it was just unbelievable how he just made those kids and those parents believe and just made it. I mean, he was a phenomenal. Obviously, when he was left SY, he was inducted to the Hall of Fame, and I sat with him at his table, and it was a tough one to watch him go, because he was another one that just didn't want to leave, and he just sat at ankle biters for 20-some years and just dominated. But he was good at what he did.
Spectacular dude.
Yeah, we'll try and get Coach O'Brien to come back and sit at ankle biters for another 20 years, maybe. Hey guys, we appreciate you guys coming on, man. Before we say our goodbyes, anything you guys want to kind of share with the audience about Centreville, Vienna, any of that stuff? I mean, this is going to air during spring break week, right? April, kids are home. So anything you guys want to share about the clubs or anything that's going on?
We're excited about football. We've been working all off season, getting ready. We'll continue to have meetings coming forward. I mean, they say in Vienna that meet you to death, but we meet in the back. We meet in the back of a chocolate shop, so it's nice. Look, there's an excitement that we have going on right now, and we're really trying to push it. And look, what we understand is every child that comes to play Vienna football is a precious gift. Okay, and we're going to do what we can to nurture that gift. So. Hoping we've had continued success and hit the ground running and we're ready to coach. Let's go.
Awesome.
Yeah, Felix is doing a phenomenal job. We got our first game for flag this Saturday. Registration just opened up for tackle, so he's already engaging with the registration being open this early tackle. He's doing a great job, and we're eager to get it going. I know he tries to. I kind of started the tradition of getting on Friday night games between Centreville and Westfield. I mean, that's like a rival, night, whatever. It's like the Cowboys, Redskins, type thing. Was getting the players down the field on that night during that game, whether it was home or away, one of the schools, and the SY players got to wear their jersey and got in the game for free, and they would be down there for national anthem. And that's a big thing. And Felix has carried on that torch, and he still does it. So, we're eager to get these kids out there. That wow and that excitement on that night when those kids get out there on that Friday night field and being down there is really something. And when their younger brothers that isn't able to play yet is watching their brother out there, we've had multiple kids come out and be like, man, he's watching his brother out there on Friday night in the SY jersey on the field, and he was like, I'm gonna do that, and he signs up next year and plays. Just because of that little bit of thing. So Felix doing a great job, and we're gonna have a good season this year.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Yeah, man, love it, guys. Well, we got Todd Casey, Commissioner of Vienna Youth Football, Jason Mullins, former Commissioner, Centreville Youth Football. Guys, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, love it.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.
All right, thanks.
All right, welcome back. And that was a phenomenal interview, a very informative interview. What do you think?
Yeah, it was really good. And I think sometimes the thing people don't appreciate, especially by youth sports, is everyone's doing it as a volunteer. Nobody's getting paid for any of that stuff. And I know the tough thing is, I think when you do youth, and so oddly enough, I'm wearing this today. I got this when I was coaching Little League Baseball. I talked about before while I was coaching Pop Warner. A lot of the parents get very upset, and I get it, it's their children. That being said, every person there is doing it for free. No one's getting paid. No one's putting anything in their pocket. And it takes someone to be able to put those things together, and two, to kind of take, the brunt of, lack of a better term, abuse, from parents, because some parents can be rather rude. I'm not, majority of them are not. Majority of them are fine people, but sometimes you take a lot, and and for people to come back year after year and continue to do these things just out of their good graces is really commendable.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about listen to them talk about like the history and how many commissioners they've had. I mean, Todd Casey was, I mean, he was rattling off names that have been around in part of that organization since the 70s.
Yeah.
Then
Fairfax County royalty, right?
I mean, complete royalty. And then Jason Mullins was saying at Centreville, I mean, he was there for like what he said, 15 years or something, and the guy before him was there forever. So like, it's like almost like the Pittsburgh Steelers kind of, you know how they had like they went from like Cower or they went from Noel to Cower to Tomlin. It's almost like that running these organizations just gets wild.
Yeah, but also they're really good run organizations, right? And there's a reason why, right?
That's right. That's right. Because
consistency, right?
Yeah, because I mean I've been around a lot of seen a lot of organizations, and some of them, they got a new commissioner every few years, and they're struggling to find one, and guys are like drawing straws to. Okay, I don't want to be the commish. You want to be the commish?
Yeah.
Flip a coin, flip a coin, flip a coin.
Right.
So yeah, outstanding. I mean, outstanding the work those guys are doing. And I wasn't kidding. Vienna, Waters Field. I should have asked him who that was named after. Maybe Andre Waters, maybe?
Ricky Waters?
Ricky Waters. I should have known who's that. I'm sure someone might respond in the comments here and tell us. But that is the Soldier Field or Lambeau, whatever you want to say it, right? Of Northern Virginia youth football around here.
Yeah, if you wanted that answer, you should have done it at the beginning of the show because no one listens to this.
Oh, to the post show. You never know. Well, we're gonna find out.
Yeah,
someone. If you know, say it. If you don't know, say I don't know. But at least say something so we know that someone was listening to the post game recap.
Yeah.
I think people listen to the post game recap. Raise your hand if you're listening.
Not according to YouTube.
The YouTube analytics. I'm shocked by that. Well, buddy, enjoy spring break, enjoy the Easter with your family and all that kind of stuff. We have some 7-on-7s coming up.
We do. Some combines coming up. The Prince William showcase is coming up.
Prince William showcases. Got 7-on-7s. We're starting to get into it.
Yeah.
This is it. NFL draft.
NFL draft is coming up. And Westfield's own, right, is looking to get drafted this year, right? Yes. Good old Eugene. Yeah.
And I think I'm seeing some mocks have him, 4th, 5th round.
Yeah.
Which would be outstanding.
That gets it's weird those last rounds. I've had a few kids that I've known. They'll get the phone calls and be like, "We like you in this round," and then they sit there and wait. And you never know, right? When people start trading up and all this other stuff happens, and then but those guys, usually what happens is the second the draft ends, they get like 15 phone calls.
Yeah,
to get them to come to their.
That's right, because a guy like that will right that 40 here. He was the second fastest linebacker in the combine. I mean, he'll get in. He'll get a. If he doesn't get invited.
He'll get invited to a camp for sure.
Yes, he definitely will. Yeah. Well, it's getting good, buddy. It is getting good. So enjoy that hopefully nice weather that we're going to have.
I hope so too.
This week. And we'll do it all again next week, my friend.
All right.
From Dash and Dan at All Hitches. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.